Jhankriti, good evening. I welcome all of you to this webinar organized by Jhankriti 2022 on Kuchipudi, Tradition Within a Capsule. And our speaker today, Dr. Vasant Kiran, is an embodiment of when we talk about the aspects of tradition within a capsule. He transcends various aspects. On one side, he is an extremely dynamic, extremely wonderful performer. He holds two PhDs coming from two different worlds, one in marketing and the other in the world of dance and Kuchipudi. He is on the academic boards and the examination panels of a number of universities. And at the same time, he works with exciting young performers to create new choreographies. And truly, can encapsulate all that tradition is within his whole being. So thank you for being here with us, Vasantji. And to begin with, I'd like you to share a little bit about yourself. Everyone knows you as the jury person for our Jhankriti, but your journey is so myriad and having so many different aspects to it. I think they should listen to a little bit about what you do, how you compose. He's not just a dancer, but a singer, a composer, a choreographer, a writer. There are many aspects. So let us hear a little bit about Vasantji's own journey before we come to ask him questions about how we can take tips from him and make that part of our own journey. Vasant Kiranji.
Namaste. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good evening. And I can already see two very familiar people that I'm very lovely close to. One being, of course, Dr. Sunil Sunkaraji. Namaskar. And thank you for this wonderful introduction. And thank you for playing that video. It almost brought back those memories that I had forgotten. That is one another composition that I had written on a Nayaka. It's in your language, it could be a Tumri. On Nayaka's perspective, for as Nayaka as a Viraha. So that was an interesting take that I had done. And of course, I know Karpagam very well. So nice to see. Namaste, Ma. How are you? So wonderful. Right. See, there is nothing great much that you probably want to know about me. I have a very simple journey as an artist, and I continue to remain as a student now. I'm a Shishya. I have been practicing Bharatanatyam for almost 3 decades now. More than 3 decades now, I've been practicing Bharatanatyam. I'm basically a Bharatanatyam dancer. And it so happened that once I was performing in Bangalore, in Chaudhaya, and after the performance, there was this great man in the audience sitting who happened to spot me, and somebody had told him that this boy is a Telugu boy. You know, he comes from Andhra Pradesh, basically. But so then the man called me, and then somebody told me, you fall at his feet. So I was like, okay. Then I took namaskar and said, Namaste, sir. And he said, are you from Andhra Pradesh? I said, yes. Then he said, why are you dancing Bharatnatyam then? You should do Kuchipudi. I said, Guruji, but where I live, I do not really have people from Kuchipudi, teaching me that we have all Bharatnatyam dancers. So, and he said, okay, if I teach you, will you come? I quickly looked aside of another person, trying to ask what is the name of this old man, because I really did not for a moment remember, who is this. We had seen photographs probably, but then my memory was so short because I just finished my performance and it was too clumsy. Then after 1 week, I get a letter from that man and the institute saying that you are expected to join the institute by next week on this particular date, on this particular time, and you're supposed to report on this particular date. And it has a signature down saying Padma Bhushan Dr. Venkata Satya. And the person I spoke to was Venkata Satya himself. And that is how the journey of Kuchipudi of mine started. And I think I never looked back. Though he was already very old then, and it was a short journey with him. To experience even one day with such a great guru is already a great knowledge for itself. So I had a wide opening to my eyes to the world of Kuchipudi from him, and it began and went on. Go more deeper from Empati Ravishankar ji, Guru Manju Bhargavi, opened my eyes, and I'm currently under the mentorship of Guru Vedantam Ramalinga Shastri, who's currently the principal and the senior guru of this country and SN awardee, and of Siddhendra Kalapeetham, Kuchipudi. Or anybody who is performing Kuchipudi here, or rather compete in the Kuchipudi category, will know or must know that Kuchipudi had this traditional family people. They were actually 16, and now they're about 12 remaining. And of those families, the Kuchipudi is the only dance form in the entire country where the name is on the Google map. If you type Kathak, you won't go anywhere. If you type Bharatanatyam, you won't go anywhere. But if you type Kuchipudi in Google Maps, it'll take you somewhere. And that's the place where the dance was originated, is supposed to be. Where the founder belongs to about 13th century, which is Sri Siddhendra Yogi. Right? He is supposed to be the founder for the Kuchipudi art form, and it basically hails from, or probably we draw the roots like Bharatanatyam from Natya Shastra itself. And my journey did not stop there. Then I went on, and I happened to also do my masters in Kuchipudi from Kuchipudi village itself, which was long left pending, which I finished it finally. Because I was also holding masters in Bharatanatyam and I'm doing my research in both. So I finished my masters in Kuchipudi and Bharatanatyam, and I've been on boards of many universities. Karpagam is one of our students when I was heading the department in Allianz University and Bangalore. So your Karpagam teacher was the student of masters, and then I'm so happy to see the kind of progress she's made for herself. And also after that, I was also heading as a director of another university. Then I sit in across more than 10 universities across the country on various boards, that is Board of Studies, Board of Appointment, Board of Committees, and different sections. On their PhD boards, on their master's boards, question paper boards, and comment sections. But apart from all of these things, I am now living in a small village in Andhra Pradesh, where I'm trying to build a residential Gurukulam for poor and underprivileged children, which will aim at teaching them residentially and away from all these big city hustles, that you live in the small world of your own in a compound where what matters is only the pure dance or the knowledge of dance or the dance related things. I'm sure most of it went above the bonkers to most of you small kids. But if there's anything that you want to ask, keep your questions written down. You can always ask me a little later. Right? So apart from this, I also have composed, because Kuchipudi has very limited songs compared to that of Bharatanatyam because the audio availability are very rare. Something. So it so happened that Bharatanatyam, a lot of other artists worked on bringing out recorded music and released a lot of content related to that. But Kuchipudi do not really have much of that. So I happened to start writing only because I wanted a song which had this. I said, okay, let me only write one song which has all of this into it. And then that journey which has started, I've crossed over 100 compositions now that I've written and I've released in the form of CD, which was released by the yesteryear actress Vaijayanti Malaji, who released this, and it was received by Alar Melwali, Dhananjayan ji, C.V. Chandrasekhar ji, and Kuchipudi's biggest stars. All of them have received to a level that now in Bangalore, most of the senior gurus in their arangetrams have at least one of my song, including in their arangetrams, and they ask me to compose particularly on their part, which I do it for both Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi. So I'm also a small time composer, and I try to compose songs based on situations or anything that comes up my mind. And for Kuchipudi, all of you must remember that it is not a Nritya form. Okay, one of the important things that you must remember for a competition is Bharatanatyam is a Nritya form. Kuchipudi is a drama. It is made dance much later, right? When I meant dance, yes, dance existed even in the previous days, but it was a dramatic dance where somebody had to even stop and say a dialogue, right? Ayya, Swami Varu, Memu, Gollavaramaya. You dance between this and stop there, right? For example, Bhama Kalapam, you know. Bhamani Satya Bhamani Satya Bhamani Satya Bhamani Vayari Mutula. Once you finish the dialogue, then the Madhavi comes. Oh, Emma Madhavi. Then it starts, which means the dialogues were part of Kuchipudi because of its dramatic elements, right? So it is okay for you to perform for the competition, taking songs of different elements, but please make sure that there is this dramatic elements of free flow of movements is included in your choreography. Okay? So which means, of course, there are three things: Nritta, Nritya, and Natya. There are three aspects, right? So you have Nritta. Nritta is pure dance, which means that one do not have. Bhava Abhinaya Hinantu Nrittam Abhinaya. There is no scope for any bhava or abhinaya on the pure dance forms. Like, for example, if you happen to choose Chatiswaram. Tarijem Taganam Tarita Tarijem Taganam Taritam. This won't have a lyrics. And so there is no scope for you to show any abhinaya. This is the oriented dance form. Or you also have Jati Kattus, which we do it in Kuchipudi. Tarijem Danatam Junutam Tati Tanam Kinam Jonum Tatarijem Danatam Janutam. This is called Raga Manirangu. Now, these are all Jati Kattus. Now, all of these do not have scope. The next one is Nritya, where you can perform a lot of Abhinaya oriented aspects, like you can use Padams, or you can use Javadis, or you can put Kirtanam. Like Annamacharya Kirtana, Ramadasa Kirtana, Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas are very popular in Kuchipudi. Most of the times, any songs that you perform, Muddugare Yashoda, Mungita Mutyamu Viru, this Alarulu Kuriya Kadinate, or Adivo Alladivo Sri Harivasamo భావములోన వాక్యములందును గోవింద 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 హరి అని కొలువవు మనస భావములోన. Now songs like these or Ramadasas, ఏమయ్య రామ రమేంద్ర తులకులైన నీనాగతిరియ వశమ రామయ్య రామ or పలుకే బంగారమయన కోదండ పని పలుకే బంగారమయన కోదండ పని. Now, all of these songs, I see many of you are singing along. Now, that is the beauty of this, because Ramadasa and Annamacharya has been very, with us along entire journey of it. And so, Annamacharya is called as Pada Kavita Pitamaha. He's the father of Padas, and it means that it's not just Padas but also Kirtanas. So, you can take what has the scope for Nritya, like Annamacharya or Ramadasa, where you have a lot of scope for dramatic elements also. You can also take compositions of Tyagaraja Swami or any compositions, preferably in Telugu, while it is not restricted. You can also do Hindi or Gujarati songs in Kuchipudi. But Telugu has the natural flavor since beginning. So if you have learned a proper traditional composition, I would prefer. And I am a staunch traditional follower. So I would want most of you to also stick to something traditional. Like you try to bring out the traditional compositions, right? So from these dramas, they're all dramas, dance dramas that existed in Kuchipudi, not dance items. The dance items have come much later, only in the 19th century. It was by Vedantam Lakshminarayan Shastri Garu who's introduced these compositions. Otherwise, until then, it was strictly a group performance by a group of male dancers only. Isn't it surprising that girls never danced Kuchipudi, or women were not allowed to perform Kuchipudi before? Not for any other reasons. It is just the social stigma then had that these people had to walk for a very long journeys, for hundreds of kilometers, and they put up a stall, like you see exhibition or a circus, and then they perform for a ticketed show. And then women can't walk for that long because the kids are back at home, so they need to take care of the kids also back home. So men were performing, and Vedantam Ramalinga Shastri Garu is the person who also introduced women, who also introduced state, who also introduced solo repertoire, all of these to the today's generation. And thanks to him that we have so many compositions that we get to perform is Nritya. Natya is actual Kuchipudi. Okay? Nritya we discussed, and Natya. Natyam Tannatakan Chaiva, Puja Purva Kathayatam. Now you have kathas, or the stories that you actually take and encapsulate into your dance. So in your 7 minutes piece of performances that you perform, or 5 minutes, you need to make sure that there is this flavor of Nritta and flavor of Nritya and an element of Natya included all into the song, which is what finally it brings in a lot of meaning to your performance. Otherwise, it would be very mundane. Many of you might perform only Jatiswaram throughout. Many of you might perform only Javali throughout. Now, they have the section of evaluating you for your Angika Abhinaya also. So we need your Kritha. There is also marks for Mukhaja Abhinaya, which is your face. So for which I need your Abhinaya also. And to find out how traditionally do you know about Kuchipudi, if you can include anything oriented with dialogues or anything which is dramatic in nature, it would be a great plus. However, that does not mean you won't get marks if you don't do that. It is not possible for everybody. I understand. But checking your limitations, I would want for you to see if you can find out a very traditional composition, preferably from the older times. Like Kuchipudi is the only dance form. Like हालांकि अगर आप भरतनाट्यम देखेंगे तो अगर आप Alaripur से तिल्लाना तक सीखेंगे, if you learn from Alaripur Tillana and then another 2 margams, you are supposed to almost know Bharatanatyam. If you know Kathak, then you have this, the Varan Toda Toda That. You have all of these things, and you learn about 2-3 of them, you feel known. In Kuchipudi, it's so unending that you have Sanskrit Rupakas. It starts from 2nd century. You have Sanskrit Rupakas, which is about, Bhasa, Kalidasa, Shankara. And then from that duration, we go down, we come to Kalapas, then we come to Kelikas, then we have Yakshaganas, then Nritya Natika, Nritya Rupaka, then Yugala Nritya, Brindanatyam. Then we came to Western Nrityamsha, which is solos. So the difference between the first Sanskrit Rupaka of the history of Kuchipudi and the Western Nrityamsha has almost about 1,300 years difference. So we have still in practice of all of these, we do perform kalapas. There are Kama Kalapam, Gola Kalapam, you have Durjati Kalapam, you also have Uma Kalapam, which are performed today. And apart from that, you have Yakshaganas, you have Prahalada Yakshagana, Tyagarajas, you have Nauka Charitam. Then there's so many Sugriva Vijayam and Prahalada Vijayam. So there are so many of these Yakshaganas. You can take a song from one of these Yakshaganas and present saying that this is from the authentic. Chaji Shauji Maharaj from the Tanjore times, and the Maratha rulers have also written Yakshaganas for Kuchipudi in Telugu. And that's a very interesting research that some of you can do it and pick up the songs. If there are teachers here, I think it will be very interesting to know if you're doing it. If there are Kuchipudi dancers, at last, 1 or 2 or at least 5 of you can just type in and send it to Sunil ji. What song are you doing? So that I kind of know a flavor of what you've chosen and if you're on the right track, right? This is one. Second, the costuming is very flavoristic for Kuchipudi. You have this lot of flowers that's coming everywhere. You don't have to build a lot of it, which I see is become a trend these days. A single one is good enough with orange mainly covering up and the white. And that's the long blade of the hair is a must for Kuchipudi. Don't tie it back, right? You have to plait your hair long because every Kuchipudi dancer represents that beautiful Satyabhama. Whether you're doing Bhama Kalapam or not, it is come to our eyes. We can accept that when you do that. Okay. Another major question that many of you ask me is, sir, is it compulsory that we have to perform on the plate? That is tarangam, right? Thali pe jo karte hai. See, one of the very important points you must know is that everybody feels that the thali part is the intrinsic aspect of Kuchipudi. Not necessarily. You must also know that thali exists in Kathak. Thali exists in Bharatanatyam. Thali exists in many folk dances of India. Right? So probably Kuchipudi included it much later. And it's just that we took it very serious and connected it with Narayana Tirtha's Tarangams. And so Tarangams are only those if picked up from Narayana Tirtha's compositions. Krishna Leela Tarangini. If you take compositions from that, only they are called as tarangams. And of course, when you perform tarangam, you have to do on the plate part of it, the mathematical intrinsic pratis. However, your competition item can exist without plate also. Without plate also. I repeat this. Many of you have such a bad notion that thali pe karta hi chahiye in the competition and all that. No, that is just one part of thing, but dancing is more important. I also would love to see how beautifully you dance on the floor, because on the plate you have a lot of limitations to show adamus. So your actual nritta comes out when you actually on the floor. So could be through swaras or the jatis. So basically you have nritta, nritya, natya. So I told you, you can perform kirtanams, you can perform kautvams, you can perform Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanams, you can perform Shabdams, you can perform Tarangams, you can perform Kalapams, Pravesha Darus, or any of the Darus, not just Pravesha Daru, you can perform Lekha, Siggu, or many of those Darus that exist, you can perform Golakalapam Darus. Anything that is very traditional, but because Kuchipudi is a patrochita aharyam and not ekaharyam, if you happen to get dressed to suit the character that you're going to perform, will give you a lot of fetching marks, including the tilak that you put. Let's say you're performing Shiva's item and you put Govindanamam, then that's not okay. Right? Let's say you are performing on Vishnu's item and you put 3 like this, which is visually represented for Shiva. Then that could be a grave error when it comes to aharya. So make sure that your colors are very sober and goes very well with your skin colors, and do a very disciplined makeup, and make sure no part of anything else falls down, like your flowers or your gungru or your ornaments. They should not fall off. That's an insult to aharya. In the competition, that is definitely going to make a difference if those fall off, because I think we sometimes, if there's a clash between two students, this girl's ornaments fell off could be the reason will make you second prize, right? Giving somebody else the benefit of doubt for the first one, right? So make sure that your meanings are understood, because it is Telugu or if your songs, then make sure those words are understood very well. Now, Shesha Shayanutai, or Shesha Shayana is Vishnu, or Govinda, Vishnu only. Sri Venkatesha is Vishnu. Sri Krishnam is Vishnu. Ama is again Vishnu. These are all different aspects of Vishnu. But the first padartha has to be exactly to that of the word. So, for example, when I said Shesha Shayanudai, right? It has to be that only, and then you get so. It can be anything, but the first padartha has to be clarified. If we say Lavanya Rama, Lavanya Rama, Kanular Chudare. You can't do Lavanya Rama. You can argue saying, no, no, sir, Krishna is also Rama only, Rama is also Krishna only. Yes, my child, but then the song is not meant for him. So you can bring Krishna later, we don't mind, but then at the beginning, to clarify, because you need to know that what is this God about or goddess about. Then you need to, because every Amma Amma means which Amma? You need to know whether it is Parvati, Lakshmi, Saraswati, or Durga. What are we talking about? So, Amma, it could be this, but Durga is this. Right? Now you have Nataraja. Or if you say Shambho, Shankarnatamo, Trishulatarana, Divagana. So Shiva is not always this. So go by the lyrics, study because I'm a composer. Whenever I write composition, I have something in the mind. I'm sure every composer will have something in the mind, right? You have to go by now. When you have this, go poet something, because there is some prelude to this. There's something happened between them, and then she's getting up and going after that, and now he wants her not to go. So understand the previous story. What would have made the author write what is it? I think that will give you a lot of flavor and continuation and flow into your choreography. Even your nritta must not be disconnected. It should not be like, Brahma Kadigina Padamu Brahmamuta Kini Pada. It is so disconnecting. In the same way, it can't be Go Shambho Shiva Shambho Swayambho Adarita Ganata Junuta. This won't suit again. So see to that your music. That means what I'm saying is your entry, your standing position, your exits, when you come onto the stage, how well you use the stage, utilization of the stage, your costuming colors, how beautifully you use the time that is for postures or poses, how well you utilize the nritta, how you flow into abhinaya through nritya, how beautifully you present the dramatic elements through natya, and finally give a perfect finish, which means I'm expecting you angika, vachika, aharya, and finally your presentation is what makes the jury member feel satvika. right? Is there anything else that you want to know? You can feel free to ask me about anything.
Vasanji, your description was like a beautiful Rasamaya performance. What can we say? Looking at the expressions of everyone, I think, yes, we would all love to have jury members like this, right? Who's just the description of the process is so beautiful. Don't you all agree? Two thumbs up, everybody. I'm sure this was so beautiful listening to you that everyone is mesmerized. And I think number of questions that they had, I think you covered most of them. One question that has come in, you also spoke about it, that it's a patrochita aharya, not ekaharya. But because Kuchipudi has a similar aharya to, let's say, Bharatanatyam or other South Indian forms, when they are not wearing the full aharya, when they're wearing just the, let's say, the practice sari, half sari and dancing, or some kind of suggestive aharya when they are wearing, which in which they'll do the whole item because of the lack of having other resources. Typically, many students are having this problem. What do you suggest is the best way using a sari? Is there a particular type of sari you suggest they should use, or what is that which reflects Kuchipudi little more? Is there anything like that you would like to tell them,
Right.
especially when they're presenting, let's then
Right.
like a 6-7 minute piece for a competition?
Yes. See, if you already have a costume sketched, you can go for it. If you have one available for a rent, you can go for it. If you do not have both of these, you must know that for an entire life process, Padma Shri Dr. Vedantam Satyanarayana Sharma, who is a great Goin of Kuchipudi and a great Brahma himself, never wore a costume. He always wore a beautiful sari, right? So the tradition of Kuchipudi came from the sari. So if you have a nice Kanjivaram soft silk sari, you can always make a double half of it and wear it like a 3/4, which gets you double pleats. You have single down, another over knee pleat, and one above. So you'll have this double pleat. You have a lot of tutorials of how to wear that available on the YouTube also. So you could just please go through those videos, and I think and the color matching to your blouse, the pant has to also be worn down, so that it definitely looks traditional because of the southern tradition that is usually silk saris have. You can wear Kanjivaram saris, Dharmavaram saris, or Banaras, or any of those which has its own beautiful flavor of silk touch, because we are all royal dancers. So try to wear something which is very, appealing in color and suits your skin tone. Saris are fine, absolutely fine.
Thank you so much, sir. You all can post some more questions. In the meantime, I'll take a few questions that have come to me on the chat. One question that has come in, sir, and you spoke beautifully about the music and how one can approach it, and also your CD, which if you could share the link of, you would love to share with all the participants that they can get. Because the recurring question happens for a short format is, how do we get the music to dance on? And many
Right,
times that's where the compromise is being made of
right,
taking something.
right,
And a lot of very popular Kuchipudi compositions have also been a part of mainstream movies. And there is a thin line between what qualifies as filmy, and sometimes the compositions which have gone in some kirtanas,
right,
some bhajans, which have sort of been are very popular and very authentic, yet they have also gone into the movies, and they have been
yes,
popularized that way too. So how do you suggest our participants sort of thread this line? Because the songs are popular, connect with the audience, but at the same time now you want to be sticking to the traditional format. So is there like sort of a madhyama mark that you suggest to young
yes.
students?
There are few compositions that have been released where it is available online about Kuchipudi songs. My songs are not really available. My CD is not available open in Flipkart or anything. But if anybody wants, they can probably approach you or Param. And then if she tells me number of people who wants it, I can have them mailed to them. So that is fine. And online you can always get it. If it's students not in India or outside any of these places, I can send you over mail. You can download them in 1 minute. This is one option. For others, they are available on YouTube. But please be careful when you pick up the already recorded, copyrighted music of somebody. If they're not for public use, then please don't use them. There's been a huge issue about the IPR in dance very lately, and especially in Kuchipudi. because the content is very less available. In very small places, aap log unknowingly you take the music and you happen to do it off. But very painfully, that kind of has disturbed a lot of, the original crux of original composers, where they have made it a big news and issue about it. So please choose very wisely the music that is publicly available and released in the market. Then you have fully control on it. For example, I can't say anybody not to use my songs because I've released it in public. Now I can't say what you do out of it is up to you. It is your choreographic ability, and you can use it in the competitions or in the performance or programs or anywhere. It's absolutely up to you, and I won't stop. So such a music will help you. And if you're taking it from the YouTube, then please be very, very careful and watch if it's a public released music, or if it's a private recording of somebody and they've just put it their performances, and so music is good because of that. Then you need all the permissions, because um, Art of Living's this competition is watched cut across to entire world, and we do not want any single guru to come and point at us saying that this music is mine and I'm not okay with this student taking my music and performing. And so we are not responsible, or rather any one of us, I'm sure Sunil, do you agree with this, that we do not want to be held responsible for such a thing. It sounds very small कि हम 10-5 minute का music ले रहे हैं, but to compose 10 seconds of a music takes a lot of brains. So 5 minutes is already a very big thing. Okay, so if there's anything you should, if you really want the music, then please write to the original composer of that who's published the music there, and take necessary permissions in written, that is through mail or letter or whatever, and then you're free to use again. Or you should purchase from them and have a receipt kept with you that you've purchased music from them, and so your rights to use the music. So a lot of people purchase from me and also ask a mail saying that I will not interfere in any of the usage of this music in any of the programs. This is a standard intake into all of this.
Thank you so much, sir. One last question we'll take in the last few minutes, and you already mentioned it, sort of the 5 minutes restriction. So I have 3-4 questions that has come. That one was, I had to cut my piece abruptly at 5 minutes because I had only 5 minutes, and the restriction of 5 minutes, I'm unable to complete my dance. So how best do you suggest, when the pieces are longer, do they edit the piece, or how should they approach that aspect when, let's say, it's a 7 or 10 minute piece that they prepared? How should they bring it down to that 5 minute to ensure that they're doing this?
I think all of you who are competing, please remember that we are not really, watching you or evaluating you based on only of this 5 minutes performance. आपका performance पहले 1 minute में evaluate हो जाए. In the first 1 minute, we know what you are, so you don't really have to even perform for 5 minutes. But the intelligence is how and which paragraph have you chopped, which paragraph have you connected to bring meaning out of still in the 5 minutes. See, har bar thali mein we get rice only. Sometimes we get chapati, sometimes we get rice, biryani, sweets, so many things also. But your stomach is one, so you need to know what fits in into this to call your hunger is staunched. So क्या करने से, क्या present करने से जो भूखे judges है, उनके भूख को आप मिटा सकते हो. I mean, these hunger judges are looking for something very unique in you. How can you quickly bring in to those unique points in the minimum time that is given to you is what makes you the actual better dancer. It makes a lot of difference.
Really beautiful, sir. Such an apt way to look at it. And I'm going to thank you for this time today, everyone. We learned. First of all, we had such a beautiful session that it was like a performance. I don't think we have had like a more musical description of anything till date. Thank you for that. You
actually
spoke about
Kuchipudi is that, Kuchipudi is the musical nature, and
as you can see, his very being is reflecting, right? So we hope all of you gathered that how Vasantji presented himself, how he spoke. There was no doubt that he is Kuchipudi himself when he's talking about Kuchipudi. The very aspect of the way he's presenting it, I think Karpakamji will agree with me that what we were watching was definitely Kuchipudi unfolding in today's times. Sir spoke about in the end what to present to satiate the hunger of the viewer as well as the judges. That within the, they watch so much that they know within 1 minute ki kaun kitne pani mein hai, who is doing what. Yet, however, you used your intelligence to make the best of the time allotted. And there was this very famous a festival of India once, where all the top names of India, and this is, I'm talking 3 decades before, where the top names of India that you can think of were performing, right from Zakir ji to the late Maharaj ji to the famous Balamurli ji, all were performing, and each one takes at least 1.5 hours to perform. And on that day, everyone had to perform together within a span of 1 hour, because it was the Festival of India. Imagine all of them together. They were 15 top musicians of India, and they said 1 hour is impossible. What do? We'll just do Namaste. And so at that time, Maharaj ji shared that how Lata Mangeshkar ji within a 2.5, 3 minute songs shows her entire kamal, entire kalakari, and we know what level she can be, right? The Nightingale of India and the Bharat Ratna. In 3 minutes, she showed her magic in every song. So let us approach that. And so all these maestros, I have not seen it live, but I've only heard the stories of this, that each of them then went on stage, presented for 3 minutes. And instead of 1 hour, they wrapped the whole thing in 50 minutes with all of them performing, because they all went, and in 1 or 2 minutes, they showed their kamal and they came. So I think rising to the occasion is what we learned. How we rise to the occasion is what impresses the viewer, the jury. And a very important point that Sir spoke about is that Nrittam and Abhinaya must be connected. You don't have to disconnect them and say that I have to show some Nrittam, I have to show some Abhinaya, let me just join them together to show them that I can do both. You have to also show how to connect it and do the correct Abhinaya, as you saw the example of the Rama and Krishna to the same song. So because as when you're showing yourself on video, there's no chance for you to discuss and have the Vad Vivad Samvad. So be very crystal clear in what you're presenting. And also, the more Uchit aharya you wear, the better it is, the more points that you will get. So thank you so much, sir, for all your wonderful pointers that we had today. And before we go, we'd like to have a wonderful, everyone, please turn on your videos and let's have a wonderful smiling moment with Vasant Kiranji, who's with us. Would you like to say something?
Mohit Kumar, who has raised his hand for a question or something, Mohit?
Yes, you have a question. I think he's raised his hand and put it down again. Was your question answered? Maybe it was, as we were speaking.
I'm great.
So let's have a wonderful smile from everyone, the young performers, the older performers, and we are looking forward to seeing all your videos. Yes, quickly, let's have everyone turn on your videos. Lovely. So some of you joined us, and many are going to watch this webinar, which we'll share with them the recording of today's webinar. So with that, 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all of you. All the best. I'm so looking forward for some wonderful songs and dances from all of you. Wish you the best.
So very happy to see you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you so much, sir.
God bless all of you.
Thank you.